Hi, good evening. I'm very happy to be moderating this panel, very interesting panel, and there's a reason we chose everyone who's on stage. They are very representative of what's happening in the defense industry right now. We have Mr. Nuwal, who's a veteran who's really turned around his company now into defense. He's the big boss of the defense world right now, doing very well. We have Mr. Joshi. He can tell you more about Operation Safed Sagar than anyone else. He has flown missions in the Air Force as a pilot, a fighter pilot, and now is making drones. We have Mr. Puneet. Samtal has been a traditional company in defense, now moving to some very new areas. And Mr. Rajendra, a relatively newer entrant, but looking at very high-tech things and newer systems which will be very, of great use in the years to come. I would like to start, sir, with Mr. Nuwal. Nuwal ji, आपका भी your drones were used, for example, during Op Sindoor, and you have invested a lot in defense capability, manufacturing. You've created facilities without orders. मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है नुवाल जी, private sectors, is it capable of delivering to India what it needs when it comes to defense? और दुनिया में जो हम देख रहे हैं कि लड़ाई चलती है तो 2 दिन नहीं 2 साल भी चल जाती है, उसमें डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू हैव द कैपेबिलिटी टू डिलीवर. क्या आपको लगता है इंडियन कंपनीज ये कर पाएंगी?
First of all, I'm thanks to Manuji to invite me at the panel discussion, and as regard this UAV and Sindoor, that first weaponized drone or suicide drone we have supplied to armed forces, which was successfully used in the Sindoor. And but after the Sindoor, we have developed another 4 variant of the Sindoor and 4 variant of this Nagastra, and another this 4 variant like this whatever we told, or this fixed wing or folding wing, we have also developing, which will be completed in the 4 or 5 months. As regard this high energy material, I tell you that before this 5-6 years back, our country was totally dependent on the import, and now due to this government policies, we could able to set up this high energy material, which is the largest capacity manufacturing plant in the country, and presently we are exporting to many countries like this Israel, US and Europe, and you will be surprised that our 40% export of our total revenue.
So you have been a success story, and you have moved from conventional explosives to military very well. But I would like to bring in Mr. Sameer. So you started this company on your own. You're a startup, very difficult area to enter. And the biggest criticism that I hear amongst everyone is that defense manufacturing in India, a lot of people are doing tech transfer, so-called, without developing real capability on their own. There's a term the social media uses called screwdriver-giri. And that's a criticism that is valid in some cases. Where do you see us right now? Are we still in that stage in which we are learning nuts and bolts, or are we at a place where we can leapfrog tech and move ahead?
So, Manu, I think when this transfer of technology business started, largely it was the necessary thing which the country had to adopt. There was no technology existing. We had to get certain components, certain products which needed to be assembled under the obligations of the contract. There was no proper Make in India, and the policy focus of the Government of India, which is authorized by now the incoming DAP 2026. So I think the license production was a necessity, but this is not the destination. this is not the way that we have to go in the future. And what we can do largely is that to switch over from a licensed production to a IP or a sovereign hardware and software production in India, we have to get the scale in terms of orders from the end user. The Make in India mission has to become, or rather it has to convert into Own in India. And it is only the orders from the government which will break this cycle from the licensed production to a cycle where IP is owned. So just to give you a context, and I'll tell you the loop how it works. There is an order which comes that builds up your capability. When you build up your capability, you get funding. When you get funding, you do R&D. And when you do R&D, you break that dogma and you go into many other pivots like exports, like owning that sovereign IP in India, etc. So I think this was something which was needed. This will be needed in future also for certain niche technologies, which maybe we are running a layer or two below. But I think the larger context is, and the DAP 2026 is actually supporting, is resident IP, resident source code, resident capability to upgrade products in the future residing in India. And for that, one thing we need from the government of India or the end user, orders, orders and orders.
Sir, point taken, and there's been a complaint that I hear a lot is about size of orders and continuity of orders. But we heard the Prime Minister speak yesterday and he was talking on exports. And that has been a success story. He said we have increased our defense exports by 55 times in the last 15 years. I wanted to bring you in, Mr. Puneet, on that, since you have pivoted from supplying equipment to the Indian armed forces now to competing with some global players, bagging international orders. How do you see India's export story when it comes to defense? Is India seen as a good provider of exports? Do we have the backing of the government, the regulation needed? What more needs to be done to promote that?
Thank you, Manu, and thank you, Economic Times, for having us over today. And this panel couldn't have been more timely as we look at what's going on in the world today and the challenges that we have in terms of global wars that are going on and the security challenges. Coming to your question, and I think if I look at exports, what is really an Indian product, first of all? We have to be very clear. An Indian product is a true Indian product when it's really developed in India. Its technology is really developed from basic sciences. So if it is actually innovated and developed in India, then only it can be called an Indian product, not a build to print or a technology transfer and then being sent back as a part of, earlier they used to do offsets and even today they are doing certain projects similar, similar style. So the products that we build definitely are innovated, developed in India. R&D is done totally in India, so the IP is with us. And that is why when we export these products, whether they're going to some Southeast Asian air forces, we are working with certain European air forces, and of course with also certain African countries now, looking at technologies that are used by our armed forces for many years are going to global markets. Coming to the challenges part, I think, government is very interested to really build the export market. And as you heard our Prime Minister yesterday, he was also very keen about really building these particular niche capabilities in the country for Make in India for the world. But I think what is missing is dedicated focus from the perspective of looking at what we can do from marketing these products even more strongly from India. I think there is a lot of effort that SIDM, which is putting, part of CII, which is already going in. But if you look at, there are certain issues that come up when you're exporting. So do we have a help desk from, in MOD, which can actually take up issues that are there by exporters once the export has been completed and then address those issues. And of course, the issue of maybe even getting faster export clearances, which has improved, but it can further be improved. So as you say, glass half full, half empty. These are the challenges. But a lot of opportunity and definitely a lot of excitement about buying from India, especially after Operation Sindoor.
So, by far, India's biggest expense as a country is on its defense forces. We spend a large chunk of our capital expense on defense. And for a long time, defense manufacturing was dominated by the larger players. We used to import a lot of our stuff. Now, a lot of Indian companies are making things here, and we have some of you here. But, sir, Mr. Rajendra, I want to ask you this question. Since you are a relatively newer entrant into the defense sector, do you find it difficult to enter this market, or is it still dominated by larger players, established people? What kind of opportunities do you see? Especially, defense is a long gestation period. You put in money, return comes in 8 years, 10 years, if it comes. It's a risky business. So what puts you there, and what opportunities do you see coming up there?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Economic Times. I think we have been very close with Economic Times and growing with Economic Times, actually. But to answer your question, I think gestation periods have been since defense industry has started, actually. And one of the seasoned players we have seen is Novalji. I mean, he has grown his journey, and in the short span, he has grown over. But I don't think, with all due respect, with the way things are happening now, robust manufacturing, opportunities coming global. I mean, Israel giving us a lot of opportunities in technologies, and those technologies being backed by offtake orders. I think so. There is a very stable platform being set, actually. I do agree with what Sameerji said also, is that maybe if we could get into a more aggressive pathway of getting into exports. Today we are seeing almost 40,000 crores, and I think even like PSUs has not contributed much to that values. If this, as we say, if we can move the exports procedures a bit more aggressively, then I think we can see more than 2.5 times of exports coming in. And in our opinion, I think we are actually a bit surprised, because we never expected that we could get so many opportunities. So we started with defense, and then because we realized that, maybe there's a lot of time in defense, we moved into semiconductors. We set up some OSAT facilities. I mean, I'll just give an example. Like if we build a product is built by an European company. Now, will that same product work under Indian conditions? Answer is no. There are different conditions. You have to modify that product. And then comes the quality issues, actually. So this quality issues is something which every Indian company is undergoing through, because they have different ways of handling. So if these two issues are handled, I think it's one of the finest journeys one can ever think of, actually.
I just want to again bring in Mr. Nuval on a topic which is a bit sensitive. It's about companies spending money on research and development, on their own research and development. And we have seen in India a lot of companies don't spend enough on R&D. I want to ask this question to Mr. Nuval, because he's an exception in this. He's just announced a 12,000 crore investment into a robotic facility without having any orders from anyone there, but they are going to be developing robotic warriors for the Indian Armed Forces. Mr. Nuval, do you think enough is being done when it comes to indigenous R&D? And if you can also share some examples of things that you have developed in-house. You have resisted taking technology from foreign players because you wanted control over the IP and other issues. You can tell us a bit more on that, sir.
As regard the policy, our government is very focused on the export, and due to this policy, our country is growing regularly. This export for not only this particular MNI system, but overall our export is going very well. And as regard this Pinaka, we have exported due to support of the MOD, but now many countries are interested, and they have shown their interest to purchase the long-range missile, this ammunitions, high-energy materials, air bombs. But government should take the lead to private industries to allow the for the design and development of the long-range missile, different type of the arms or ammunition, because at present, most of the this long-range missile and this thing, it is level playing field, we can say, but actually, these circumstances, government should think about this, that if any private sector can do particular this type of the ammunition, then they should be given the preference. So it will be not only for the industries, but in the interest of the nation, I think it will be the need of the hours. So this is the main thing by government should allow to private sector. If he ready to make in India policy, make India policy, there is definitely, if any DPSU or this DRDO or any company, if they spend to direct or indirectly, this is the government, and it's take their own time because they follow their own procedure. But I think if same thing can be done by this private sector, it can be expedite this system. So at present, it is very required for this thing.
I think that's a fair point, and a lot of companies I speak to, they say the same thing, that the private sector can do things faster than the public sector units at times, and we have seen development cycles in the private sector being much faster. You can deliver at better costs. And Samir, I wanted to bring you in. You had your, I'm sure, tussles with the PSU when you were in the Air Force. You must have seen how they operate, and things have changed. Now the private sector is, you are heading a company in the private sector. Efficiencies are different. But again, to come back to my earlier question, the problem has been capital for R&D. Where does the money come to develop a system? You have no visibility on orders. There are some government schemes which fund some money. Do you think that's adequate, or what more needs to be done? Novalji can afford to spend 12,000 crores because he has another business which gives him the seed capital. But for newer companies, it's difficult to get access to that money.
So on the outset, I must acknowledge that in the last 5 odd years, the government of India has put in a lot of schemes. There is a dedicated as well as genuine effort to boost internal research and development, design and development, IP creation, and also a path to evolution or scaling up of the private sector, aerospace and defense ecosystems. Now, these include the Innovation for Defense Excellence, the IDEX, then there is Technology Development Fund, and there are other mechanisms where loans through RDIF, etc. are coming. I'll just comment on each one of them very briefly. When we talk of the Technology Development Fund, it's largely DRDO-run initiative. My feedback towards this particular product line is that a lot of times, while there is an earnest effort to create a technology or a product, it is not mapped to the mission need of the end user. So a lot of time technologies are created, but they are actually not harvested, not deployed in the field. So that is the first order. Second, I'm looking at the IDEX, the Innovation for Defense Excellence. This is an internal Ministry of Defense initiative, a very good initiative, because this is the only initiative which gives any company, even with an idea, to directly, one, interact with the end user. Second is, if approved, if the idea is actually appreciated, it can be converted into a research and development program with a minimum order quantity guaranteed by the end user. What we feel, however, is that the way the initial rush for companies to be acquired under the scheme with a very limited budget is actually going to be counterproductive. So I would like to, I'll just give you an example. Like there are about 550 plus companies who have benefited under IDEX, but majority of them have not been given a funding beyond 1.5 crores. So when you spread the limited funds which the government of India has across such a wide pool, the guys who are genuinely good, beyond the initial seed funding aspect, they run out of money once they have prototyped something and want to scale it up to a product which the end user wants. because the end user does not want a prototype. He wants a working product. So this disconnect is existing, and that is where I think there is a lot of feedback from the industry, which has gone back to the MOD. We are hoping that certain aspects of DAP 2026 will cover this particular percentage. The third aspect is, let's look at the exports. And you'll get an appreciation where all this aspect is coming. So I think about FY26, about 38,000 crores were exported out of India. But the important part to understand that private sector contributed just about 45%. The PSUs have scaled up 151% in the last 1 year from the previous year, and the private sector has actually just scaled up 14%. A large part of this is because, one, the scale, which the countries have certain policies, certain laws of also protectionism, kind of, make in India equivalents outside. The second is the IP which needs to reside with us is not good enough to actually crack open certain segments. So most of this has gone through G2G deals to the PSUs. The private sector, except for companies like Mr. Nawal, even Puneet is doing stuff there. Very niche export areas are where the Indians are competitive. And majority of us are doing supply chain, kind of exports. There is no product. The product will only happen once we spend a lot in R&D. Now coming to the last side, the government has recently opened a scheme called the RDIF. Here you get grants up till about 200, 300 crores. Now there is a difference between getting a grant. So here is where I personally feel for deep tech development. The grants should always be linked to a milestone style growth, not a one-time grant as we take it forward. And this is the way the DIU under the Department of War in the US has become very successful. Companies like Anduril and Shield AI, they have come out of this whole concept. So how do we kind of replicate this? I think the first order has been made. There is a correction which is going to happen. A lot of industry feedback is going. There will be genuine IP creation in India in the next 2 to 3 years. Under the vision of the government of India. It's just a little push, the final push that the industry is looking forward from the government.
So yeah, more money, resources available to the right people, point taken. I want to touch on space now, because that is the next frontier. It's already the frontier. We're seeing warfare taking place up there, and there are not too many Indian companies in counter space and space operations. But Mr. Puneet, you are planning to get into it big time. What's attracting you to that sector? I don't know how much you can tell us about some exciting new ventures that you are coming up with when it comes to space tech.
Actually, Samir just answered everything you can on for defense. So that's why you switched subjects, I think. But coming to space, I think as you've heard our Prime Minister multiple times and talking about the excitement that he has personally from all the way from the PMO to create this. And why is this excitement? Because this is a sector which actually can really put India in a very different trajectory of growth. And it is really, really high tech. Of course, we hear about what SpaceX is doing and what's going on in terms of their recent valuations and the successes they are having. But private sector in India is actually evolving in space very aggressively. We are also looking at certain technologies in IoT and ADSB space, which is, again, a need of the hour for the country. These are all very niche technologies. Some are through acquisitions, some are through tie-ups. I can't disclose more than this right now, but a lot of this would evolve in the next few months, and Samtel would have a very aggressive and a very successful story in space to tell, I'm sure about it, and make India proud.
We're looking forward to seeing some of that unrolling. I can give you a slight sneak preview that things will unroll in the next few weeks, not months, from what I hear. That's what sources tell us.
It is in few weeks, not months. You're right. Maybe less than 45 days. Economic Times should be covering a lot of that.
Sir, another question again, Mr. Rajendra, to you. I want to bring in this beyond space. The other big area where India has to focus on is drone and anti-drone warfare. And we are seeing so many companies offering so many systems. How do companies differentiate themselves now when they're offering a product to the armed forces? Because we see a whole plethora of companies with different technologies coming in. So what is the core tech that you think needs to be focused on, which is important?
Yeah, I think what we did from our end is, we tied up with a French company, Saiga. So Saiga is a company based out of France, and they carry over 60 patents, which means they have been developing this product for a very long time, and they have seen what the future is. So like one of the product that they have built is, the drone can be not only a tracking, but it can be an interceptor, lightweight, limited payload. So they are trying to bring in some very good features which probably others don't have. And what they did was they did a live demonstration at Pokhran. So some drones, I think they flew at 800 kilometers per hour. Some drones they flew at 500 kilometers per hour. And they could, the swarm drone concept. So what they bought was something different, which the Indian Army felt that it was an asset to the nation. So I thought we believed in trying to bring this technology, and what we had done as a tie-up, so we have a dedicated R&D setup with them, which will be there for the next 8 years, because this drone technology keeps on emerging. 6 months back when we were talking about drones, nobody talked about interceptors. Now it's interceptors. People are talking about interceptors. People want lightweight. So all these things basically cannot happen overnight with an R&D. So obviously we have to tap manufacturers who actually have got this product, and it's a tested product. So Saiga was one of our good choices, and I think even when we started setting up the facility, we had an export contract of 100 million. So which means their product is accepted. So I feel, in my opinion, I think anything now onwards also, but for nobody expected that, drones would be the solutions. Everybody was talking about missiles and, like Sir said, Pinaka and, all those products. But today, everyone talks about drones. We can do the best things, but, everyone wants a drone. If I tell someone that, I can offer a good anti-drone system, so he says that a drone can be an anti-drone. So, all this technology keeps on wavering, and I think, the best one is to have someone who already has patents and who is willing to transfer the technology. As I rightly agreed with Samirji, licensed technology is not a solution. Technology transfer is not a solution. If we have an IP, I think that is the only way I think we can get better.
That's a fair point. And when drones come, you need counter-drone systems. And my last question, because we're running out of time, to Mr. Nuwal. So you have developed an anti-drone system indigenously, the Bhargavastra, the anti-drone system. Can you tell us at what stage are we on that? Because that is the need of the hour to counter swarm drones like you were talking about.
So you may be well aware that as regarding this Bhargavastra counter drone system based on the micro missile, we have already successfully tested in Gopalpur as well as the Majan range. So main thing, this as regard this micro missile is completed, and before this 15-16 days back, all armed forces, as regard this Navy, Air Force, Army, they have came to our unit. They have checked the complete the system, and we are very confident that before the timeline of the end of October, we will submit the complete system for this Bhargavastra. And I think this Bhargavastra will be a game changer for this country. Not only this our country, but we have already getting queries from this many other countries also. So it will be a very successful hour. We have never think about this thing, but we are very confident that without October, this October end, we will complete our system, and we will give to this our AED, Army Air Force design, who have given this order to us, so we will supply to them.
So, and we are waiting for these systems to come. The neighborhood is tough. It's a tough political situation geopolitically, and I think people who are sitting on the stage right now, they'll be very involved in the next conflict that comes. Samir, I know, has already been at the front lines, and I don't know how much he can speak about that, but maybe later on to you guys privately. But thank you very much, everyone, for coming on the panel. I wish we had more time. This is such a fascinating sector for me, at least. I don't know about the audience, but it was great to have you. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience.